Never again, I'd tell myself. And then given the right set of circumstances, I'd do it again. Can you relate? Here you are at reGROUP, so I'm guessing that the answer to that is yes. Me personally, I'm the product of relational chaos. My entire family of origin is in recovery for something: codependency, alcohol, substance abuse. And then there was me, desperate to escape the destructive patterns of my romantic relationships, but unable to change my own behavior with any consistency. I could do okay for a while, whole years, maybe of spiritual upward momentum and moral integrity, but I always fell back into old habits. On a long enough timeline, I kept repeating my patterns. The relationship that landed me in reGROUP was so destructive and inappropriate, I truly came to the point of despair. And I found myself asking questions like, am I capable of change? Would God help me to change? How could I change? When I've made this decision so many times, how can I arrive at a place where I wouldn't make it again? So all those years ago, in my desperation, I went to my friend Jack and I told him the condition that had been my life. Even since arriving at Summit and re-embracing my relationship with God, I'd repeated these patterns, and he invited me to reGROUP. And what I found was that faith, while it is the necessary first step of healing, is not the only step. Hebrews 10:14 tells us this: for by one sacrifice he has made perfect forever those who are being made holy. Do you understand what that means? It means God's not done with you yet, or me, or your boss, or your spouse, or your sibling. We were made perfect, but we are still being made holy. When we choose to put our faith in Jesus for the forgiveness of our sins, we are justified. And justified just means he takes our place in paying off the debt our sin has made. And justification happens in an instant, but that doesn't mean there's no more work to do. Sanctification is the next step. That's our work to pursue. Sanctification is the process of being made holy. It's when we make an effort to become more and more like Jesus and join him in cleaning up the mess our sin has made. There is nothing that we can do to justify ourselves except ask for God's forgiveness through the sacrifice of Jesus on the cross. But there is a whole lot we can do to become sanctified. And not because changing our behavior makes God accept us. He already has, but because we are so grateful for his grace already given that we want to love him back with our whole mind, soul, and strength. You and I have an entire unsanctified history that I promise is shaping the decisions we make today. And while we don't have to fear eternal judgment for our unsavory past, we cannot experience the abundance of life that God has planned for us if we refuse to engage with him in the process of sanctification. Very simply, grace is a cooperative effort. It is offered freely, but we must freely take hold. We need a plan. So here you are, and we're so glad that you came. Let me tell you a little bit about the plan that reGROUP offers. The reGROUP program has 3 distinct movements, or phases if you prefer, and these movements are called Recognize, Return, and Restore. Each of the 3 movements focuses on a specific aspect of the recovery process, and each have their own timetable and deliverables, which just means homework. In the first movement, Recognize, you'll be in an open group, and that just means that new people come in and out every week. It's the largest group you'll be in here. If you've ever been to AA, you'll feel very at home in the Recognize group. We start by reading the guidelines. We have time parameters for sharing, so everyone has the opportunity to speak if they want to. No one is compelled to, but everyone is welcome to. And when someone shares, they say, "Hi, my name's Kailey." And everybody says, "Hi, Kailey," which is really great and welcoming, as long as your name is Kailey. Otherwise, it's super weird. And it's just a comfortable environment, a safe environment to process what you're learning in your own journey. We have 3 deliverables in the Recognize movement, that first movement. And remember, a deliverable just means homework that you have to deliver on to move on to another group. So once you complete your Recognize deliverables, you'll be able to move into a small closed group for the Return and Restore portion of your reGROUP journey. The Recognize group deliverables briefly are these. First, we must name and claim our dependencies. You might also call these habits or addictions, whatever it is that's separating you from God, other people, and your best self. Give it a name, put words to it. Second, we establish 30 consecutive days sobriety from our named dependency. If you have more than one, choose the one that seems to be doing most of the damage in your life. And third, we write a letter of forgiveness from ourselves to ourselves, expressing empathy for the choices that we've made. For a lot of folks, the letter is one of the hardest things to do because we are so very self-critical. We often judge our teenage choices through our 40-year-old eyes, and it's just not fair. We've all made some bad choices. We've even made some bad choices intentionally, but there were also people and circumstances and influences in our lives that sent us on a trajectory that made those choices seem reasonable at the time. The letter of forgiveness is an opportunity to express empathy and compassion to yourself and recognition that you were doing the best with what you knew how in order to survive physically, emotionally, mentally. In reGROUP, we tell people that half the battle is to finally understand it's not all your fault that you got here. The second half is to embrace the reality that it is all my fault if I stay here, but we have to do the first half first if we have any hope of doing the rest. So that's the Recognize movement in a nutshell. And as I mentioned, that group is an open group with new faces that will come in each week. Return and Restore, the two remaining movements of your reGROUP journey, they will take place in a small, closed group. So there's not new people coming in each week. It's the same 6 to 8 people. In the second movement, Return, you'll be doing what we call an inventory. This is similar to what you'd experience in AA or Celebrate Recovery, and it basically means you make a timeline of your life and you do some guided journaling about the formative events that you've experienced, what has shaped who you are and what you've become. And you begin to see connections between what happened then and what you're doing now, which helps you take back control of your decisions. It restores the knowledge of our choices. We always have choices. We can't choose different if we don't even realize that we're choosing. And then the last movement, Restore, we work on taking those principles and wisdom that we gained in the first two movements and we apply it to our current everyday lives. How can I live out what I've learned today? I've not gone in depth on the Return and Restore portions because it wouldn't be super helpful for you right now. You'll get much more of that as you move along the process. But everything we've talked through here will be covered in your reGROUP workbook, which you should have received already. Your leaders will help guide you through your next steps, and they are always eager to answer any questions that you have, so please don't hesitate to ask them. I promise you, this work is worth it. I collapsed onto the doorstep of reGROUP, exhausted by my own self-sabotaging behaviors, my desperation, the wake of relational wreckage that I left in my path, and Jesus saved my life through this program. The tool belt that I gained in this community changed the moral and spiritual trajectory of my entire life, and I want that same freedom for every single person I lock eyes with. God didn't create you for a half life, but for a full, abundant life in Him. So would you consider committing to this group for the next 8 weeks? I'm asking up front because around week 4, you're gonna hit a wall and think, I can't possibly do this anymore, but you can. You can with this community. You can. My life was hot garbage on fire when I got here, so if I can, you definitely can. With God's help and with the help of this community, I really believe that each and every one of us are capable of the work that we're asked to do here, and I really believe your heart, like mine, will be unalterably changed for the better as you take this courageous journey.